Now, the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
Well, when people say that live each day like it's your last, that was my takeaway.
I cry in front of my team. I cry on national TV. Don't be afraid to show your emotions.
They handle things so classy. I mean, we have a Hatfields and McCoy's relationship. It's just the way it is. But that doesn't mean there's not respect there.
Coming off the thrilling win over then number 10 Illinois on Saturday, Michigan State men's basketball coach Tom Izzo stepped up for his Monday press conference with a much different tone as he started it off by talking about last year's shooting on Michigan State's campus. This past Tuesday marked the unfortunate one-year anniversary of the tragedy, and we had a chance to sit down with Izzo this week to talk about a day and a week he will never forget. When you think back to what happened last year on February 13th, what was maybe the biggest takeaway or something that you think will always stick with you about that day?
Well, when people say that live each day like it's your last, that was my takeaway. You know, about as safe as surrounding and everything that you could have, and boom, just like that, something happens. And it was that and just the sadness of what happened for no reason. That's the difference.
Obviously, your son goes to Michigan State, and he was close to where the shooting took place, too. How did that change your perspective of just any moment, anything can happen?
I think we all are wired that, you know, you watch the news, you watch things happen, and you say, wow, that's not good. And then all of a sudden, it hits home. It's kind of like cancer, you know. Everybody wants to fight cancer and do things for it, but until it actually happens to you. Well, nothing happened to Stephen. His girl picking up his girlfriend, she was in there, and the cops just ran out and got him to leave, and he came back here and barricaded in with some guys in one of the suites with some of the GAs that were here working, and that's where I got the call. And you do look at it a little differently when it hits home, unfortunately. I think if we would all do a better job of caring about each other, then it wouldn't be just when it hits home.
To the families of those who were senselessly taken from us, words seem so hollow right now.
You obviously were a big voice in terms of the MSU community, speaking at the vigil a few days afterwards. You said in your press conference this week you were nervous when you went up there. It didn't seem like it when you were listening back to it, but why do you feel like the nerves started to kick in for you at that time?
Well, you get to do a lot of things in these jobs and speak in front of, you know, I've been to the White House, I've been to different places, but I expected a decent sized student body to be there. And when I saw the number of people there and the number of people both from the community, the student side, from different ages to different colors, to everything that was there that night, it made me realize that, boy, we need to bring everybody together, and that's not easy to do. And I just felt like, man, am I saying the right stuff? You know, am I thinking about the right things? And I always hate it when I have to speak about something and it hasn't happened to me directly, because I never think you'd give enough understanding to people. You know, I'm talking to them and I'm trying to figure out a way to be a rah-rah guy, and, you know, we've got to move on, we've got to help this. And then I think of my own kids, and if my kid was one of the 3 that didn't make it, or if mine was one of the 4 or 5 that are going to have to live with the problems through the rest of their life, I think you'd feel differently. So I always get nervous when I have to talk about something that I haven't gone through myself, because it's like I don't have a right to. But at the same time, I wanted the message to say, you know, let's try to hang together and be together, and don't make a crisis the only time we do it.
You know, one of the things you did say was you don't like the place, you don't love the place, you live the place. When did Michigan State become a place that you've lived?
Well, as you know, I came here pretty young, you know, as a GA, right out a couple years out of college, and then when I got here, and You know, I did fall in love with the place. I mean, I'm from the UP. There were more people at the first game that live in my hometown. In fact, the two hometowns next to me. And that's when we were in Jenison. It was 10,000 people. But I think where it really started hitting home for me is just listening to George Perlis over the years, or Ron Mason, and seeing guys that had been here before, how much it meant to them. And then when I turned down a couple of those NBA jobs, I just said, nobody's got it better than I do here. And don't do like the rest of the world. The grass isn't always greener. Figure out what you have here, appreciate it more, which I don't think I've done a great job of, but I'm trying every day. But that's why I do live this place.
Michigan State's next game is tonight against rival Michigan, and after this quick break, our conversation with Izzo will continue as we are going to discuss the warm welcome the Spartans received in their last trip to Ann Arbor. We'll see you soon.
This segment is sponsored by the Lansing Sports Commission.
Experiencing a Spartans game is a lot like life. Farm Bureau Insurance sees the connection and is a proud supporter of Michigan State athletics. Find an agent who can protect what matters to you.
It all started with an idea.
We came here with 2 kids and a suitcase.
A business to proudly call your own.
The most gratifying part of owning a business is the relationships that have formed over the years.
Made even better by a reliable partner to support you every step of the way.
Anytime we have any questions or we need any assistance, we can go to the entire team at MSU FCU.
So when it's your moment, dream big.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
The first game the Michigan State men's basketball team played after last year's campus shooting was against Michigan in Ann Arbor. And while the Spartans came up on the losing end, it is a game Tom Izzo will never forget as the Wolverines honored the Spartan community, and it's where we continue our conversation with Izzo this week.
Moment of silence just a few moments ago.
You obviously have had a lot of battles with Michigan, and your first game last year after the incident was at Chrysler, and that moment of them honoring not just you guys, the team, but the university itself, what did that mean to you as a person as well as a coach to see that?
It was an honor, and they handled things so classy. I mean, we have a Hatfields and McCoy's relationship. It's just the way it is. But that doesn't mean there's not respect there. I thought the job Jawan did with his team, their AD, the student body, the administration. You can tell when something's phony and when something's from the heart. I felt like even the people that hated you the most on that given night, it was a heartfelt appreciation for not only what we were going through as a school, but realizing that this happens now in our world, and everybody should band together. And I felt like that was a night when Michigan and Michigan State were together, and it was a hell of a game, and we came up on a short side, but it didn't change all they did for us. And my respect, don't like them anymore, but my respect just keeps growing.
Whatever you're feeling, it's all valid. Emotions are different for each and every person. I cry in front of my team. I cry on national TV. Don't be afraid to show your emotions.
You talked about banding together, and I know that's something you mentioned when you were speaking at the vigil of the community coming together. In the last year, have you seen that more now than ever, of the community coming together at all?
You know, this past year I've been working so hard to keep our head above water a little bit of more of a challenging year, and so I'm not out and about as much, but I do think that we as an institution have an appreciation for so many things, like how, in my mind, how well our police and everybody, the job they did to get that thing caught, and hopefully before other people were injured. And I did appreciate the way we handled it as an institution. But I also, I thought it was interesting how the community came together, and I think that tells you a lot about Michigan State, that it's not just a school where college kids go. It's a school where everybody's involved with them, and that was that night. I'll never forget it. You know, I've had some incredible nights here, but none were more heartwarming than the number of people that showed up. And when I asked them to look to the left and look to the right and try to help somebody, because everybody grieves differently, I really saw people looking to the right and looking to the left, and they didn't worry if they were 91 or 12. They didn't worry if they're black, white, Hispanic. They didn't worry if they were going to school here from the community. It was a group of people banding together. And boy, when you're a coach, that's what you expect out of championship teams. And so I think we have a championship community and a championship institution. And yet still, like a couple weeks ago, John, one of the guys that has been paralyzed a little bit, was in the locker room with his in his wheelchair, and he just made me realize how lucky I am, and he made me realize how I shouldn't complain and do the things. He was unbelievable kid, unbelievable, and he's coming back to school. He's still in rehab over in Chicago. I mean, that was an incredible evening.
Yeah, those crazy times, did that at all maybe change your perception of coaching games? You know, a tough loss or an exciting win like you had this past week. Does that at all change for you?
I think it does sometimes, and you know, and I'm not sure I like that, because what's wrong with having passion for what you do? You know, the liking, loving, or living it. You know, we should be living it. Those things are important, but we should live those things that they went through too, and try to figure out how to make it better, you know. And so if you just got to the point where you said, well, there's bigger things, and I don't think that propels you to where you want to go. We got to honor those people we lost. We got to figure out how it doesn't happen to others. It can't be a life lost for no reason like it's been. There was no reason those poor kids were killed. There was none. I will always try to remember the day. I hope everybody takes a pause and says a prayer and gives a little appreciation in their own mind.
Now this week was a little different for teams on campus. On top of having Tuesday off from school, no teams played on Tuesday as well. So when we come back, we're going to share with you a story we did last year, and it involves Tom Izzo's son, Steven, and what it's like having Izzo as his father. We'll see you soon.
This segment is sponsored by MSU Healthcare.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
If you walk around the Breslin Center on game days, odds are you'll see quite a few number 13 jerseys, as Tom Izzo's son Steven has become a fan favorite ever since he stepped foot on campus and joined the Michigan State basketball team. Our Haley Schoengart was able to catch up with Steven last year, and the two discussed a number of topics, including what it's like to have a Hall of Fame coach as your father.
I gotta ask this question. I'm sure everyone wants to know what it's like to have Tom Izzo as a father. So what's it like?
It's good balance. I mean, you get the coach side when you're here, and he is more of a coach just in all aspects of life. But he lives the normal parent life, just more busy and more well-known, I guess.
I'm sure there's got to be some perks to having him as your father.
There's been some great perks. I've gotten to go to NBA Finals games, got to go on court, locker room stuff, meet players, and you know, just experience things that people don't usually get to experience. One of the funny stories that I have as a kid is my dad didn't know where I was. Like, he lost me when I was at a Warriors game, but Coach Kerr had brought me in the locker room, and then my dad was like freaking out, and then he went outside and was like, they were talking, and he's like, I don't know where Steven is. Steven's in the locker room. And I was in the locker as Katie, me, and then Draymond. So I was just chilling in the locker room talking to those guys. It was pretty fun.
But Tom has also said that he's raised everybody else's kids but his own. So there's got to be some difficult times to have Tom Izzo as your father as well.
Yeah, I mean, he's always been busy, so obviously you miss some certain instances that are important, such as like some of my high school games or middle school games. He didn't get to go to all of them, but for the most part, he was always there, and anytime I could be a part of the program, I was always part of the program. I never sat in the stands, so I always sat on the bench, behind the bench as a kid, so I was always pretty much a part of the team, or I kind of took a manager role when I was in high school and middle school, where I was just the ball boy for every single game. So I kind of got to experience everything with the team and be a part of it.
Being a manager-esque type of role in middle and high school, is that when you knew you wanted to join the program whenever you got to college?
Yeah, I didn't really know what I was going to do. Kind of throughout high school, I looked into coaching a little bit, and I kind of still do, but not really looking for college coaching. I would like to be like an NBA general manager, like front office kind of job. When I was in high school, it was, you know, you could walk on, you could coach, I'd just be like a special assistant or something, and it was kind of talked about, but really the desire was to play while I was in college, because I didn't really know what the, you know, whole coaching thing would have been and how that would have been as like, not an assistant, but, you know, kind of just like sit in the meetings and all that stuff, but they meet for too long. I don't know if I could do that.
So being on the team where your dad is the coach, do you ever get tired of him?
Yeah, sometimes when I go home, sometimes I'm like quick to go home and quick to leave. I just go see my mom, hang out with my mom once he comes. I'm like, all right, I'm leaving. Because it does get to be a lot where you're always around the same people, so you kind of want to separate. There's no bad beef or anything. It's just like kind of being around the same people 24/7. Some days you just need a break.
How special is the time that you and your dad get to spend together while traveling and doing all things Michigan State basketball?
It's very special. It's a time that I obviously didn't get to have for a long time as a kid, but you know, it's never too late. So just like experiencing it now where I can appreciate it more is way different than when I was a kid and probably didn't appreciate it as much.
Okay, so I've got some videos of yourself that I want you to look at. They're all from games, and I want you to kind of walk me through what you were thinking.
Again, the foul was on Oakland there, so this something that Tom Izzo upset about, though, and they quickly teed him up.
So this happened during Christmas break. He got a technical, and I've always been like kind of, you know, the get back person of grabbing people, of making sure that they're not going on the court and stuff, or like holding people back. This year we've had a lot more technicals called, so kind of to avoid any situation that could escalate, it's nice to just go grab them. Also, I've noticed that refs are kind of less likely to tee them up, in my personal belief, if I'm there, and if situations do get, you know, crazy, I can grab them and calm them down, or, you know, tell the ref that I got him.
Founder 20 on the shot clock.
Yeah, it's a good one because, you know, I'm the smallest guy on the court, so it's always fun to, you know, tell other people that they're too small to guard our guys. It's a very useful celebration.
So with the men's basketball team taking on rival Michigan tonight, they'll look to do what the hockey team did last week and take down the rival Wolverines once again. When we come back, we're going to recap last Saturday's Duel in the D victory for the Michigan State hockey team. We'll see you soon.
This segment is sponsored by Shupan.
Welcome back to the MSU Federal Credit Union Coaches Show.
The Michigan State hockey team is on a bye this weekend and has just 2 series left in the regular season. The Spartans sit in first place in the Big Ten currently and took some serious momentum into the bye. Last Friday, the Spartans defeated rival Michigan in Ann Arbor 5-1, marking the first time since 2017 MSU has won back-to-back games at Yost Arena. Then, the two teams went down to Detroit and met for the Duel in the D. Michigan came into this game having won 6 straight Duel in the Ds, meaning the last time the Spartans hoisted the trophy was back in 2016. Less than 10 minutes to go in the first, Tanner Kelly gets the loose puck, spins and finds the twine to help the Spartans take a 1-0 lead. In the second period, the Wolverines were on the man advantage and showed why they have one of the best power plays in the nation. Dylan Duke buries the rebound to knock the game up at 1-1. Then, less than 6 minutes to go in the second period. This time, Kelly fakes the shot and Carson Dorwart has a wide open look at the net and takes advantage. MSU would take a 3-1 lead into the third period, but here come the big guns for the Wolverines once again. Rutger McGroarty finds Gavin Brindley lurking on the side of the net. He puts it home to make this a 1-goal game. But like the freshman did all night long, Trey Augustine was an absolute brick wall. Check out this unreal game-saving save, one of Augustine's 36 saves on the night. Michigan State wins 3-2. Our Tyler Driesinga was at Little Caesars Arena and has more on how one of the stars of the game took accountability for his actions earlier in the season and delivered this past weekend.
Saturday night's game set a new attendance record for the Duel in the D with 18,410 fans, and they were treated to a nail-biter until the very end, with Michigan's Dylan Duke fanning on a shot right in front of the net in the final minute that would have tied things up. Ultimately, MSU was able to hang on. One of the heroes of the night was junior forward Tanner Kelly, who opened the scoring in the first period and added an assist. It's been a roller coaster this year for Kelly in this rivalry. After letting his emotions get the best of him in the first game of the season series, he was benched for the second Michigan game and the following series against Minnesota. Head coach Adam Nightingale says for him to come back, play with poise, and score 2 goals this weekend shows a lesson in accountability.
Tanner's a critical piece of our team, but I also made a promise to these guys that we're going to hold you to a standard, and that doesn't mean that I believe in forgiveness, but there's consequences for your actions. And Tanner was out for a couple games and he did nothing but work. For me, winning that was special, but it was special to see that because with Tanner to respond the right way when you're held accountable and then get rewarded. That's a pretty special moment for me as a coach.
I mean, it definitely helps the confidence seeing the puck go in the back of the net, but I think all around tonight it was just a really good team effort. I mean, my line mates, they've been unbelievable for me. Tommy and Shouds, they make playing the game really easy for me.
With the victory, Michigan State wins the season series over Michigan 3-1. It's the first time since 2012-2013 that MSU has beaten Michigan 3 times in the same season. Reporting from Little Caesars Arena in Detroit, I'm Tyler Driesinga.
The Spartans will welcome in Ohio State next weekend and then will hit the road to close out the regular season as they will be at Wisconsin, which is lining up to determine the Big Ten champion. As always, we appreciate you tuning in to this week's show. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you next week.
This segment is sponsored by Spartan Dogs for Life.